Lovely.
by Clive.
And we just go
listen, he's so smart. Oh, speaking of smart.
Yeah.
Oh, am I on?
You are being talked about.
I thought I just saw a picture of Dicko there. I thought, oh my God, I've got the wrong time slot.
No, this is how strange and surreal this pod is. As we enter now, hour what are we on? Hour 21, 22? Let me see. It's hour 22. This was 21 hours ago. A strange double high 10, low 5 situation this was Lee's idea.
That's good. I like that.
I don't really understand, what this came from. It feels like 4 weeks ago that this happened, but
you know what they call that, don't you? Hands across the sea. Hands across the sea.
Hands across the sea. I like Lee's description. Right fullback, just in case. You know.
Well, he couldn't play left. I tell you that for nothing.
So, Alan, thank you for again selflessly giving of yourself in both time and commitment, and we've already given away Arsenal shirts that he's come here to
the keepers here.
We've already given away. What's going on here?
He's
all right.
Oh,
YouTube on.
Watching on YouTube.
I was watching you, and then I was like, "Oh shit, I'm supposed to be on." So
he's not the professional that I thought he was.
Hey, I'm just here for the high fives, and then I'm gonna leave.
So anyway, I was just saying that Alan again, the reason why the most incredible piece of Arsenal memorabilia was created and able to be raffled off, which ended up indeed gaining over $12,550 for the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. And Alan, I can't thank you enough for that. And last time I saw you, you were harassing me at a Weatherspoons table, I think.
Wow. I go to Heathrow Airport, and it's the last person you expect to bump in. I didn't actually bump into him. I saw him going down the escalators, and
you can feel the tremors from the.
Nobody else looks like Mike. I thought, I know that man, so I tried to track him down, but he was quick on his feet. He disappeared in amongst the crowd, so I had to message him.
I had to go.
Yeah, you were in the pub basically.
Now, Alan, he told me something different. He said that you spotted him because of his hundreds of fans asking autographs and pictures and you were amongst that group.
I said, what are the chances? I said, I'm going to have to go and see him. But I interrupted your breakfast, didn't I?
You can interrupt any meal that you like. I don't always check my Twitter DMs, but I just happened to in this occasion.
Good job.
And he says, yeah, we're over by what was it? By the Pret. And I'm like, I just ordered. I'm like,
that was too far for you to come.
Get that food. I'll go over. But he's like, no, I'm on my way. And so there's one of the greatest, goal scoring forwards of Arsenal's history, just kind of wandering through the Weatherspoon looking for.
I've still got the pace to catch you, Mike.
You got me. I tried to escape.
I never had loads of pace. I've still got enough.
That is quite the tan that you are sporting there, Mr. Smith.
Well, I am tan, but I think it's showing up. I think I look even more tan, Sophie, in this light. But we have recently come back from Crete. We had a lovely time.
Lovely.
Nice.
Didn't see a cloud in the sky for 10 days. We were there. We had a few problems at the airport, as a lot of people have. Not when I saw Mike, but we got delayed for a whole day, and it was a bit of a.
They only had one problem that day, and the problem was that he saw me. That was the only problem. It was a great vacation, except for the beginning of it when we were at the airport. And
do you enjoy all the Greek food out in Crete?
Yeah, love it. Yeah, it's nice, isn't it? Yeah. No, we went to some the fish out there. It's lovely, isn't it? So we stopped at a place we haven't been to before, a hotel down the bottom right of the island, and it was great, really nice.
I love Dave talking about me like we're old pals and stuff. I mean, yes, you've won a lot of stuff off of me, but come on now. No need to taunt me when I have a signed shirt that I owe you at this moment. The question I have for you, and just always at this point now want to ask anyone from your era, and we asked Amy Lawrence this a few hours ago, and she really kind of as with everything, had amazing answers and way with words. But
oh God, don't put pressure on me.
You've got to outdo Amy.
Got to come up with an amazing answer.
We have a panel of judges waiting to rank your answer. Mikel Arteta is poised, and I'm not trying to get ahead of myself. I'm just speaking hypothetically speaking. If we end up with the third great era of the last 30 years, if the George Graham era, followed by the Arsene Wenger era, if Mikel Arteta is fortunate enough and successful enough to kind of turn it into a similar situation, describe stylistically, managerially, kind of not tactically so much, but not emotionally, but just, is he more George Graham or Arsene Wenger, or what does he share from each person? Because I see a lot of similarities in both of them with him.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't expect to be asked this question to start off with, and I've never really considered that Arteta would take us into another era to compare with those two. Let's hope he does.
He might not, but the timing, the what we've already been through is starting to feel like early stage George Graham, is it not? Like with
with the kids coming through and cherry picking his signings, to fit into the ethos. Definitely, George wanted players who are hungry. He got rid of a lot of lads in the late 20s, early 30s who maybe were looking. They were, I don't know the way to put it, but he wanted younger players that still had their careers ahead of them, hadn't won too much. So, as I say, they had that appetite for trophies. And this is what Arteta, I'm sure, is looking at now with the profile, with the age range. Yeah, as far as George goes and Mikel, I mean, he's tough, isn't he? He's a tough manager. You can see that with his decisions in terms of getting players out the door, not taking, any crap from anybody. Rules are rules. He's certainly the boss.
Did George Graham have kind of, I mean, I'm not going to say, well, I am about to say non-negotiables, but I mean, George Graham obviously ruled the club kind of with an iron fist, but like
he did.
But were there double standards sometimes where you might say, well, this guy's getting excommunicated for something relatively small, whereas this person seems to be able to keep getting away with things?
Well, yeah, I mean, it has to be said. Tony Adams, he got away with a fair bit. He was the gaffer's boy, and also Paul Merson. Merce was another one. The gaffer loved Merce. I mean, he was a young lad, and obviously George could see the great potential in him. But he let him off the hook more than once, and that doesn't go unnoticed by the lads. We used to take the piss out of them. I mean, it was the famous story. We'd always egg Tony on to go in to see the gaffer at the start of a season. Tone, our bonuses are crap. You've got to go in there and negotiate on our behalf. You've heard this one, haven't you?
I have, but there's nothing like hearing it a second though.
So we've shoved him in there. George had this small little room at London Colney that he shared with the other coaches. And Tone's in there for like 20 minutes, half an hour. We're waiting to start training. And he finally comes out and we're all like expectant, Tone, how did you get on? He said, sorry, lads, couldn't do anything about the bonuses. The gaffer won't budge. But, the good news is I've signed another 3-year contract. So that went down like a bag of you-know-what. But, yeah, I mean, the gaffer, yeah, he was really strict. Somebody nicknamed him Gaddafi. I think it was Kevin Richardson. And you have to say once or twice he did step over the mark. I mean, when I remember when he cast Paul Davis into the wilderness for, what was it, 18 months or maybe more, actually. Davo's got a book out, actually, and I must read it because I know he'll probably go into detail about that, and that affected him deeply because Davo had said something in one of the tabloids that the gaffer didn't like, criticised the style of play, and he was ousted. But you can't treat modern day players like that, can you? Of course you can't. They're all on big money, and obviously the people above are going to wonder, well, if you're not going to play him, let's sell him. You can't just let him train with the reserves or the youth team, as used to happen. That used to happen regularly even as a shorter time. Just go over and train with the reserves today. I've had enough of you, or go with the youth team, make up the numbers. That doesn't happen now, does it? So Arteta, I think it's a really difficult job for modern day manager to be disciplined, but kind of to strike the right balance, because you'll lose some players if you go over the top. you'll lose them and you won't be able to get them back. So he's got to be really cute with the way he does it. But, he's a new manager, isn't he? He's learning all the time, and he's a clever lad, and he will learn from his mistakes.
Alan, he was unafraid to do that with Aubameyang, which was very Graham-esque in terms of how he handled that.
Yeah. I mean, I'm talking about being severe on players that you still want,
Right.
You need to bring them back into the fold. And that's difficult these days, I think, with some. They'll just go to their agent, demand a transfer, whatever. But yeah, with Aubameyang, he decided he didn't want him. He wasn't producing on the pitch. What was going on off the pitch wasn't to his liking. He had to set an example as the manager. And he was out, although it cost the club money. He felt that was the right thing to do. And you have to give the board credit for that, for backing him. How long ago was it that Aubameyang had signed this huge contract, the biggest one in Arsenal's history, and now the gaffer's turning around and saying, I don't want him anymore. So that was a big stance from the board, wasn't it? A statement of faith in Arteta.
Yeah, we if you have any questions for the great Alan Smith, or for Sophie or Andy for whatever reason, please put those in the chat. We've started a few of them because we want to, we want to get your questions answered. B, I've been podcasting for 22 straight hours, and I've run out of things to ask that are not.
How are you feeling? God,
can
I'm
I
all right.
Things...
I was listing a little bit in the last hour, but then I got the energy of crossing the 5,000 mark on for the podcast raised, and that gave me a shot of adrenaline, and then of course,
good.
Don't
fall asleep on my watch, will you?
Oh, I'm not going to fall asleep. But
10. What's that mean?
That was a 10, Alan, because he said he was going to rate the answer to the question, so you get a 10.
Rating
for that one's a 10. Okay.
Is that your score, Sophie, for me?
Yes.
I just like that always like just numbers ready at the go. Just to
10 was already written down.
Andy is living proof. Andy is living proof, right? He witnessed the Cronkies win a championship here. Andy, show that T-shirt off. That they can be winners and win championships. It's really interesting. There's not much noise going on right now from fans with the owners, is there? I wondered what you guys make of that.
Well, I mean, you see it at Man United. Obviously it comes and goes there. Everyone hates the Glazers, but if United are challenging for the title, that will die down. I'm not saying Arsenal are, but there's optimism there, isn't there? And you can't say, they're not backing the manager, because they are backing the manager. They're not taking huge dividends out, are they, like the Glazers do? So, what do you want from your owners? I know he's an absent owner, but his son Josh is over here regularly. It's difficult, really, to criticise them at the moment, And as long as that optimism remains and you can see improvement within that side and, there's excitement, I don't see why they would get the Cronky out banners. I don't see why they would.
Well, and to parallel the Stanley Cup run, I mean, Sophie, you probably understand, but I don't know if Alan does. Like, they say it's the hardest trophy in world sports to win because you play a best-of-7 series 5 times to get it. And where my seats are, I can see directly into the owner's box, and Stan didn't show up until the actual finals. Josh was there essentially every game, and he gets very animated, very involved. But Stan didn't show up until the last, I think, 6 games of the season. So
what did Tomago think of you just not watching any of the hockey, but just staring into the owner's box?
I haven't seen him in there, Mike, for a while. I should go over and say, hey, you remember me? But so, when I look at it, like, Stan's not the youngest person, and it's a lot of travel for someone. So I kind of parallel the two, where I'm like, you've got these championship caliber teams that are doing things, and you're, essentially a ghost until it matters. And then what I thought was really interesting is following a couple of the players on social media, they were celebrating the week after the win, and Josh was in almost every Instagram story and photo. And so seeing the interactions that he's had with the fans as well as the players with Arsenal, I do think they are embedding a little bit more. And,
but do you think Stan actually likes sport? I mean, you said he wasn't there. Sorry, where do you live, Andy? Where were you watching?
I'm in Denver.
Does he live in that? Yeah. Oh, so he doesn't live in Denver, does he?
Well, so it's kind of strange because the stadium that they built downtown, there is a condominium on the side of it, and that's where the Cronkies reside. And I only know that because my old neighbor was a police officer, and the fire alarm was pulled, and he got to go in the condo, and he said it's unbelievable. But really? I don't think he resides here. Josh, I think, does because he runs the operations for both the Avs and the Nuggets. So I think he's here a lot more. But my guess is that Stan likely resides in L.A.
Stan, either in
he's
LA
always
or
at the Rams. He's all about the football. He's all about the Rams.
Yeah, his
that's his favorite,
or that. But I mean, Stan,
he doesn't get as animated when simply a goal goes in and Josh is out of his seat, and like Stan just kind of stands there and will clap, but you can see like Josh is he's a fan. Yeah.
Andy, he looked like he was having a good time.
It's a passion project a little bit for Josh, I would think.
Yeah. And Andy, actually Stan looked the most animated I've seen him when the Avalanche won the Stanley Cup.
Oh, when you win
on the ice. Yeah. I mean, yeah, but still, I agree.
Was he disappointed, you think? I should have asked Aston to ask him this when they were together, but like when they won the Super Bowl, they hand the Lombardi trophy to Stan Kroenke.
He looked a bit tipsy.
When yes, that's true.
Today.
But when they win the Stanley Cup, do you think Stan Kroenke was like trying to like get out on the ice and like
I think the frail arms
that could have ended badly.
Yes. They don't hand it to the owner in hockey.
That's the best thing.
Sport other than like American sports. I mean, hockey's
the only sport where, and it's just brilliant, isn't it, Andy? Because I think ice hockey is the closest to football in terms of the fans, the atmosphere.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's I think that, being at the Emirates is fun, but going away in the Premier League is something. Like I tell all my friends who fly over to England and they say, "Oh, I want to go to a match." I say, try and sit in the away end, no matter where you go, because the atmosphere is just different.
Yep.
And I think hockey is the closest you get to that, and it's just phenomenal. And I think
certain cities, I mean, in some cities it's dead, but I mean,
it totally is. But I do think that the more the Cronkies sports in the U.S. win, the better it is for the entire umbrella of KSE, right? Because they're going to want to emulate that. And Mike, I was listening this morning when, Aston made that comment of Stan saying, "I want a Champions League." It just breeds, you just want to win, And so
I didn't buy that at first, but I'm buying that now.
He said he wants a Champions League in Europe.
Yeah, our friend Aston, who was kind of the face of the kit launch in Orlando, he was invited, just very, very well taken care of by the club when they were in Orlando, and he was sitting in the owner's box with Josh, Vinay, Stan, Zinchenko was there. He had just gotten into town, and a couple other guys, probably Tim Lewis was in there, and so he got to talk to and he's one of the only Arsenal fans that's ever spoken to Stan Kroenke, I would say. And he actually was told, hey, I want to get me one of these Champions League things. That's my own interpretation of the verbiage that was used. But I think
start with the Premier League
going out for dinner.
That's true.
Yeah, the Stanley Cup is not named after Stan Kroenke, but it is named after a Earl of Derby. So weirdly, a Canadian American sport has a trophy named after an Englishman. I don't know the whole premise there, but there you go.
But the Josh Cup,
well, they call it Sir Stanley too. It's very British, isn't it, Andy?
So I want to. Someone asked a question before, and I was just reminded of this because Kevin Campbell's in the chat.
Super Kev,
love Super Kev. He clearly loves you as well. But Daniel Robert asked, "I wonder what you did for tickets." We were maybe 2-3 hours into this thing, and I was blown away to find out that the captain's duties involved the whole ticket arrangement thing. And you'll be like, of course it was.
What, in my day?
Yeah. Well, apparently now too, but like.
Oh, is it? I didn't know that. Yeah. I don't know whether that's a tradition at Arsenal, or whether it goes across the board. But yeah, the captain Tony was always involved. mean, Gary Lewin played a big part as well. I mean, Gary back then as a physio, you couldn't really call him a physio. He had about 15 different jobs, including car park passes and just all sorts. I saw him yesterday, actually, because I've had an operation on my ankle. So he was giving it a bit of manipulation. So we were having a chat about the Lionesses, which was nice because he's a physio with Arsenal women now. But he did everything, and the skipper was involved as well. And of course, the man was involved as to whether we wore long or short sleeves, which I'm not sure whether that happens now. You never know whether they've got them on because they've always got the vest underneath, haven't they? Mm-hmm. But
I know
it was a nice tradition.
The guided tours, they still say that is true. I don't know whether it is or not, but I think that's why Tierney was not ended up getting I think the team would have voted it down because the January games with the short sleeves.
You don't want that.
It sounded like, and someone said this, it sounded like the whole like contraband trade in prison type thing where tickets became this currency that was more valuable than anything else. Cigarettes and
yeah, they could be hard to come by. I don't know how many the lads get now, but some players always wanted more than others. Sometimes the local lads, who lived in London, they got family in London. I mean, my mum and dad used to come down to every home game, and my wife used to go as well. So I only wanted 3 normally, but it was always a bit of a bone of contention if you couldn't get as many tickets as you wanted.
Alan, I'd love to hear your thoughts on Terry O'Neill and
Terry O'Neill,
your experiences. That would be wonderful to hear from you about Terry. Another sad loss for the Arsenal family.
Yeah, there's been too many of these lately.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know Terry well, Sophie. He was one of those figures that would pop up every now and again, quite often on a match day. Probably saw him much more after I retired. But he was always one of those personalities, very jovial, quite a classic Irishman, really. Lovely way about him, lovely temperament, loved a story, loved telling a story. And what a career he had. But yeah, he was, as I say, I didn't know him well. Some of the staff like Geordie Armstrong and George Graham would have known him a lot better. But yeah, really sad news, really sad.
Yeah. So going into the new season Friday, do you still get excited whether you're playing or not? And is it important for us to get off to a fast start, especially after what happened last season, after the first 3 games?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. It's slightly easier start this time. I mean, there are levels of excitement, aren't there, really? And we're quite a high level. As an Arsenal man, you've got that optimism, hope there, as like you have, Sophie and Andy and Mike, and all the fans thinking, well, we can see improvement and hopefully we could maybe sneak into the top 4. So, yeah, I am excited. I'm excited for the start of the season as a whole. I mean, not many people would tell you they can see beyond Liverpool and Man City for the title, but, what's going to happen at Man United with Ten Hag? What's happening with Chelsea? Are they going to drop down and give us a sniff of the top 4 place? There's a lot of questions to be answered. How are Spurs, how are their new signings going to adapt and cope with Champions League football as well? So, yeah, if we get off to a good start, I mean, that would be ideal to get that momentum. And I think pre-season is important. It's easy to play it down, but I mean, for somebody like Gabriel Jesus, it's been brilliant, hasn't it? And I remember my pre-seasons, and if I got to the end of it, I hadn't really scored a goal, I'd be going into the new campaign in not the best frame of mind. So he must be flying, he must be buzzing mentally and physically. He looks so sharp, as do all the lads. So, yeah, if we can get some wins quickly under our belt, then that confidence can snowball.
I've kind of loved how, guys, that for the first time in a long time, getting Jesus and Zinchenko and us not selling our best players to City or to, any of our rivals, whatever that means these days in terms of where people sit in the Premier League. There definitely seems to be a shift in DNA profile mindset and how we're doing things Alan. Are you seeing that turnkey?
Yeah, I am. I mean, we're on the outside looking in, aren't we? But you can see the signs, and he's had a few years now. How long has he been in place, Arteta? Was it 2.5 years or something like that?
This is his third.
This will be his
second full year, right?
Yeah. So he's had that chance, because things did need turning over, didn't they? With the remnants of the Arsene Wenger era when it went downhill at the end, and then obviously with our man from Spain, he had a different way of doing things, and Arteta's got his own way, and he wanted to implement those changes, but he can never do it quickly. So he's fashioned the squad in his image now, hasn't he? He's had those transfer windows, got some out, got some in. It's his team now. It's his team. I'm sure he'd like to make one or two more signings, but he'll feel a lot happier, I think, in terms of what he's got to pick from, and he'll be hoping that now, obviously, it's time to deliver, as they say. We just want to see those results out on the pitch.
Now in that, and I don't want to start placing limits on things, but we've kind of we've gone around and around with this concept of like Laurie says, how are we defining a great era? Kind of as we started this talking about the potential of an Arteta era. I mean, what is an era now, given the financial non-limits of the nouveau riche? I mean, let's just say we have the realization of everything that looks like is getting ready to happen this season, and we have a darn good year. Knowing that there are one, maybe two clubs, maybe three that with Newcastle now coming in that could just outspend us in January and just throw money at the situation is having title aspirations realistic, I guess is the best way I can put it in this day and age for an Arsenal.
Well, moving forward, I think it is not realistic this season. I mean, financial fair play was brought in order to temper the big clubs, wasn't it? I think that's still Premier League still looking into Man City. They've been doing it for 3 years. So they aren't supposed to be able to spend willy-nilly, and Newcastle aren't. That they don't generate half as much as a team like City because they're coming from a lowly position. So how much can they spend? That was always Arsene Wenger's thing, wasn't it? And he spent within his means. Obviously, Man City have got those multi-billionaire owners. But, Liverpool, I mean, they're a great template, aren't they, Liverpool? But they haven't got, they've done it really sensibly. Obviously, they've got the right man in charge as the manager, and their recruitment has been outstanding. So why shouldn't Arsenal go down that path?
At the perfect time. I mean,
I don't think it could be an era is, I think these are chapters. That we could call it the Arteta era if we win. Because to me, it's like, right. Alan was part of an era, right? The Invincibles, that was an amazing era. These are chapters that hopefully it has to lead to winning, and it's got to be more than the FA Cup, right?
And I don't want to set the new ceiling of success as being second place. I don't. Trust me, I don't. I know what this club is about and what it needs to be once again. But what I see as being different than in the George Graham era and the Arsene Wenger era, the one thing that's changed is that it is just known that there will be 2, maybe 3 clubs that can just literally throw money at the issue and race back out in front of you, where we're trying to build a team that's sustainable, that's within, self-sustainable means, which doesn't mean we break even every year. We could still pour a lot of money in and still be self-sustainable if we're making top honors. So I could never be comfortable with second place or third place as long as the Manchester Cities are allowed to do what they're going to do. But I fear that is the reality. And
I think we always fall into that trap, though.
Yeah.
I always think we fall into that trap thinking, oh, Man City, they're going to be challenging forever. Well, there's nothing to say that they will. Maybe the Middle East owners will pull out at some stage. We've done our job. We've used City to raise the profile of Qatar, etc. Pep Guardiola goes. They get in a manager who's not quite as successful, and they lose that bit of momentum. The same with Liverpool, Klopp goes, it's a different era. So I remember when we won the league in 89 and then 91, and after the 91 victory, the papers were going, Arsenal set to dominate for the next 10 years. That was the headline, because we were in a great position to do that. And then we fell off a cliff, really, in terms of our title aspiration. So you never know in football, and in our league, especially, we should value the fact that there is that competition. Look at the German Bundesliga and La Liga in Spain. We're in a much better position where you have got clubs that can come back again and grab the crown.
Yeah, I mean, look what's happening with Manchester United. I mean, it's everyone just assumes that you're going to dominate, but football is cyclical. So what does success look like to you then? I
don't know that football's cyclical anymore. That's the problem that I'm getting at.
Mike, Manchester United have fallen off the cliff.
But that's self-induced, though. That's not cyclical.
But they still fallen off the cliff.
Yeah, but clubs make mistakes, don't they? In appointments and that. I mean, obviously the Fergie thing.
Certain types of mistakes. The only thing that sucks about Manchester City and their dominance and all the money that they have is that they're also smart. Manchester United are dumb money people. Manchester City are smart money cheaters.
People weren't saying that when they were winning.
Well, but they weren't that way when they were winning. They really. I mean,
they weren't dumb. They weren't when Mourinho won a league cup and a Europa League there. The fans were still complaining about the owners, that they were dumb
the owners should be complained about there for reasons other than competitive balance. But now I think you can add competitive balance to that in the sense that they're constantly trying to do one thing to get right back to the top again and taking one step forward and 5 steps back. And they haven't learned the lesson that Arsenal seems to finally have learned, which is that they have to blow the whole thing up and start over again. So, I mean, I'm loving what's happening at Manchester United right now because I think that they keep digging a deeper and deeper hole for themselves. But
I'd like to know what Alan considers success this season.
Well, given where we finished last season, I think a fourth position would be a hell of a result. I think, getting a trophy would be nice. But we've had a few FA Cups, haven't we? But I think that habit of being in the mix for whatever competition you're in is important, whether it's the Carabao Cup or the FA Cup, and obviously the Europa League. If we were to win that, I mean, happy days. But everyone's judged on how high up in the table you finish, and are you dining at the top table, as they say, in the Champions League? And Arsenal have been there for so long. You can't say that's where we belong because nobody's got a divine right to it. But we're a big club, a London club, and we're set fair for Champions League football. So that would be. I mean, if you pulled Arteta aside and said, if you could choose between, obviously a Carabao Cup, FA Cup, or getting to the final of the Europa League but losing, or getting 4th place, what would you have? He'd have 4th place, wouldn't he? I think definitely, because that sets you back on the road with the revenue that you earn, sets you back on the road to being one of those top 4.
All right, Alan, do you think I'm crazy? I was having this conversation.
I thought that was the question.
If we finish 7th, let's say we finish 7th, in the league. No, it's hypothetical. I like to play the what if game, but we win the Europa League. Do you accept that? Is that acceptable? Finishing 7th but winning Europa League, putting all of our eggs in that basket.
Yeah, you're thinking then, well, great, we're in the Champions League, but if you finish 7th, you're probably not going to do too well in the Champions League the following year. So in a way, that would be a big disappointment, having clambered up to 5th spot after those 2 8th place finishes, and then to go back down again. That would be popping the balloon, wouldn't it, really? Because Europa League's a cup competition. After all, it's not the true test of a team. You can have your little bit of luck along the way, get a good break in the final.
It's silverware, Al, and it's silverware we haven't won since your heroics in Europe.
Well, I know. But it's that 7th place, Sophie, that's getting me. I can't accept that 7th place. That would
and that's because that's the thing. I mean, people always talk about and sometimes it's usually 5th place that they talk about, but let's go with 7th.
because it's out of the European spots, right? Or is it the conference?
Well, you'd be playing in the conference, or you'll probably be playing in the Europa actually with that, or the conference. Yeah, conference. But it's the old thing of, would you rather have a trophy but not be in the Champions League, or and get in because of the trophy? I just think the biggest test of where this team is the one with 38 games involved in it. And if you go from almost cracking top 4 after being 8th, then 5th, then you go back to 7th, something is dreadfully wrong, even if you did win the Europa League. Who won the Europa League last year? Was it Celtic and against Frankfurt?
Frankfurt, yeah.
Like Frankfurt's not that great of a team. They're all right, but like what they accomplished doesn't. I wouldn't have traded Arsenal's top 4 for what Frankfurt accomplished last year. Because
you always talk about community and winning, and like even in our darkest days when we won those 4 FA Cups, and we weren't great in the Premier League, but winning those trophies was just the silver lining to poor seasons and watching a team that just kept blowing up in the league. I don't think. Okay, so what if it's by a point? Let's say it's so tight at the top that we miss out on those positions by 1 point, but we win a European trophy.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
Yeah, I'd be happy because we're back in it, and we now can vault. I mean, it depends on what we then do with it, in my opinion, because
But it's
but
what
I think the squad's getting better all the time. I mean, that's the idea, isn't it? In getting people out, getting people in. That would be Arteta's aim. So
exactly.
he's trying to get a squad together that can cope with European football, and hopefully European football at the highest level. I mean, we're not ready for that, probably. At least not progressing to the knockout stages, I don't think, unless we get a favourable group.
But it's a bargaining chip out, isn't it? It's a bargaining chip. It's what it allows you to do in the marketplace.
Yeah, attracting players, recruiting, players of ambition, and that's some of the best ones.
That's the thing, because like I don't know, the difference between 5th and 7th could be goal difference for all we know, or it could be 15 points in the table. But there is a difference to me with 5th place and winning the Europa League versus 7th place and winning the Europa League, because if you're 5th and winning the Europa League, you're in the Champions League. You might have just missed out on the top 4, and now you can build off of a team that's probably just about there. Whereas with 7th, you have so much surgery to do with that team.
All I'd say, Mike, is that you'd be gutted if Arsenal finished 5th and narrowly missed out, but they did it in the same way as happened this past season, when it was kind of, it was all a bit much for them in the end. Their inexperience, their youth told, they ran out of steam. We want to move on from that now, don't we? So if we are in that position, anybody can miss out by a point or goal difference, whatever. But as long as you go till the end, which obviously we didn't last season, which was a big disappointment. But a young squad, as I say, just ran out of legs.
I love this. Someone always comes with this. It's like, why do they have to be mutually exclusive? I want both, and we're like that because this is the game that we're playing. It's either
what if game.
Yeah,
I wanted to throw that curveball to Alan because just wanted to see. I mean, I would be ecstatic if we won a European trophy and understand, maybe a bit more understanding that Premier League progress with a new team, is still in flux. But I do also believe that process has to lead to progress as well. So, it's going to be an interesting season. Do you think Saka? What do you think about? I think Saka will score more goals than Eddie in the league this season.
Can I make one more comment before we switch gears and then we'll go back to that?
Yeah, cool.
Maybe it's the father in me that's like if you win the Europa League and finish 7th, it's like
I've got you here, haven't I, Mike?
You spent all your money irresponsibly. You bought all these lottery tickets. I would not have recommended that you do that, but on the very last lottery ticket you won. So it's kind of hard for me to tell you made the wrong decision, but I would not have gone about it that way. Like you because the one thing that could have happened is that you just didn't win the Europa League, and then you're just a 7th place team. And to me, I'm like, okay, you got away with it, but I'm not happy with how you did it. I guess that's how I feel about the whole 7th.
That's not the game, Mike.
My game. Sorry, I've been on days in a row.
Back to
I'd love to know what we've got Alan here, and I'd love to get his take on this tasty strike force that we have, and the fact that a lot of us have been talking, Alan, about it feels like the burden of being responsible for everything might be lifted from Saka's shoulders this season, and we might actually see him be better than he has been the last two, winning Player of the Year. What's your take on our strike force and him in particular?
Yeah, I think last year and maybe the year before, he was played more than was ideal, maybe more than Arteta really wanted him to, because invariably he was our best player. But I mean, this is what you have to, isn't it? A strong squad, you can rotate, pull somebody out, put somebody in of equal ability or not far off, so that the team performance doesn't drop. He was chasing Rafinha, wasn't he? And who else has he been chasing for wing spot? A few. He obviously wants to get. He wanted to get a.
He wants Gapco's. He's going after the likes of the Gapco's, Rafinha. There was a few plays that we were attached to, but
listen, if he's feeling fine, he's not tired, Saka. He's going to be in that team every week, isn't he? There's no question. But with the other lads we've got in place, there is the opportunity to move in out. Martinelli could switch over there. Smith Rowe obviously has played there plenty of times, and with Gabriel Jesus there and Eddie Nketiah. It's going to be interesting how many games Nketiah gets. I think if you look at his games, not his starts, he'll get a lot of games. How many he starts is something else.
With 5 subs, though, I mean, he might be coming in the 58th, 60th minute a lot this season.
Yeah.
And not necessarily like for like with Gabby Jesus either, but like alongside him.
Yeah, I mean, maybe we didn't have that option before, did we? To have a two-pronged attack, in the last half hour, whatever. I don't think he'll start with that too many times. He loves that three attack across the line. But Nketiah's, I think he'll make leaps and bounds again. He's got that confidence of a new contract. He feels wanted. He feels loved at the club now, which I don't think he did before. And he's somebody that's got something to prove, that he can score goals regularly in the Premier League. So, yeah, that little dynamic with Jesus, we know what it's like. People get injured, don't they? And it could be that Nketiah gets a long run. Hopefully Jesus.
Do you rate him, Al? Do you rate him?
Jesus?
No, Eddie.
Eddie, yeah. I mean, last couple of months of the season, I thought he was a different player, Sophie. Before that, I looked at him and sometimes he came on and he just didn't put himself about. I just didn't. As a sub, the number one rule is run about when you get on. I don't think he did that enough. It's a simple thing in football. But, that work ethic improved. He was chasing down players, creating chances for himself. I mean, we all knew he was a great finisher. He's a lovely poacher. His anticipation in the box is second to none, which is something that can't really be coached. But it's that stuff outside the box that I think he's got better at. His movement as well. I'm so glad that we managed to persuade him to sign on again, because it would have been a big loss. You could sell him on and he could end up scoring 20-odd goals for somebody else. So that was a big plus point, and hopefully he'll get plenty of football.
I wasn't expecting such a glowing review. Are
you not a big fan?
I guess.
Not convinced?
No, I haven't. I'm not convinced that he can do it consistently over a longer period of a season. I love what he did towards the end of last season, and I think that he came in with a great amount of energy. When I was there and I watched the games, for me, when he's not goal poaching, and you mentioned it, he's too static sometimes, and I'm not sure.
I think that's changing, and I think he's picking up elements to his game playing next to Gabby Jesus that are going to really suit him well. I mean, I think he's going to be one of the surprises of this season. Sometimes when you sign a guy who's going to change your whole team around, you start looking for who's going to be the beneficiary of that, other than the guy himself. And I think Eddie Nketiah is in that slot. I mean,
Arteta wouldn't have signed him, would he, if he didn't see that potential and ability to play how Arteta wants him to play. What was the phrase he used? He opened my eyes or something like that to what he could produce. Eddie opened the gaffer's eyes, because before that, I think he had him pigeonholed. Oh yeah, he's a good finisher, but he just doesn't do enough. So the fact, they've rewarded him with a new contract, I think speaks volumes. They don't want Deadwood in that squad. That they're trying to get rid of the Deadwood. So he obviously sees a big future for him.
Yeah, he definitely fought to keep him. So he's definitely backed him all the way. How many goals would you expect Jesus, or what would your expectations be for him, Alan, that would constitute a successful season? He's going to make everyone. He's already made Saka and Martinelli and Eddie better just from being in the side. And Mike brings up a really good point.
And Odegaard is drooling over having that kind of new toy in the pram. Can you have toys in the pram, or are they only able to be thrown out?
You can throw them out, but you
can't throw them into the pram.
You can only throw them out if you're Aubameyang, but he's gone. So,
what I hear from within the club is that they're so pleased with what Jesus offers in terms of his pace and his movement. His physicality, athleticism. They've not had that for a while. Obviously, Lacazette couldn't do it, and Aubameyang stopped doing it. And Aubameyang was always really a goal scorer, wasn't he? Pure and simple. So what Jesus is now giving them, I think it's the coaching staff have gone, oh, this is fantastic, because it's kind of the missing link almost with what we've got just behind. But you'd expect him to get 20 goals, wouldn't you, if he stays fairly fit. You'd be disappointed if he didn't reach that total, not necessarily league goals, but league and cup, because there's going to be other players that are going to weigh in as well, obviously. So, listen, hopefully he continues from where how he started pre-season.
The other thing too that people keep talking about how we have a young squad. I don't think that's going to wash as much this season, Alan, because we do have to progress. But with that said, I think we have young players who may have shown naivety, but there's a maturity to everyone. They've got a good head on their shoulders. Zinchenko and Jesus are still only 25 years old, but yet they're 25, but come with a lot of experience. And I asked Kev this question too about what that means for this particular dressing room. It's got to be massive, doesn't it? When they having players like that around, and in terms of your experience and having been in the dressing room, what that means.
Yeah, I mean, they're used to winning football matches, aren't they? And sometimes that can be a psychological thing. You're in that tunnel, you're looking at your opponents, and you feel I'm better than them. And all the good sides had it. Obviously, the Invincibles and Wenger's teams had it. We had it for a period of 2 or 3 years. And it can be a bit of a crushing blow to the opposition. But yeah, those lads coming in are certainly not old, but they balance it up, don't they? You can't have a team full of 21, 22-year-olds. It's just not going to work. So they are, mid-20s, still with lots to achieve and maybe lots to prove. Zinchenko, you would never describe him as a regular starter for City or Guardiola's first choice, would you? And Jesus the same. So these are two players. I mean, the left-back situation is going to be really interesting. Who does Arteta regard as his first choice left-back?
Who do you think should play left-back, even when Tierney's fit? This is, to me, the most fascinating.
That's the million-dollar question right now. Yeah. So if you have that luxury.
I'd heard 1 or 2 stories. I mean, this was, 8-9 months ago, that he didn't see Tierney as his ideal left-back. There were aspects to his game that,
he's not his player. He didn't sign Tierney. He inherited.
Yeah, that's not to say he wouldn't rate him, but I just heard a whisper that everyone goes on about Kieran Tierney and everything, but maybe Arteta isn't quite so enamoured. I mean, he's a great lad and he's a very good footballer. He offers something different to Zinchenko, doesn't he? I mean, raiding down that left flank and whipping in crosses. Zinchenko's not quite that type of player. So it might be that they kind of share it a little bit. But I just hope Tierney can keep fit and give us that option.
I'm actually pleased to hear that, to be honest with you. I said, someone said I was ruthless when I said if Tierney was fit this summer and someone came in with a blinding offer, I would take it. Because And is it his fault that he, with the way we played, maybe not so much this season, but last season, kind of just putting in crosses into a box that nobody was going to get their head on, Alan? And I feel like much more, as we've seen from last season, this season's all going to be about, ball to feet. And is he the right fit for the way Arteta wants to play? It may sound harsh, but I mean, you've played the game. I just don't see him maybe fitting in as much as he used to.
Well, what I would say, whether you've got, big forwards, great headers of the ball or not, if you've got somebody that can get to the byline and cut balls back, whether it's on the floor or in the air, that's a great threat. So we shouldn't discount that. He seemed to lose a little bit of confidence, didn't he? He didn't get injuries, weren't helping at all. He had a dip in form, Tierney. So I'm just hoping he can come back again. But
be right back. I'll be right back.
The way he performed in pre-season, it might be. Well, I don't know what Tierney's fitness is, what stage he's at, but Zinchenko's going to start the first game, isn't he?
Tierney came on. I think he did the warm down, didn't he, the other day after the Emirates Cup, the Emirates Cup game. We've got some really good questions for you here, and there's a lot. I'll just encapsulate it into one for you. Everyone is dying to know what you think of Saliba.
Yeah, well, I haven't seen a great deal of him. I've heard a lot about him from various people around the football club. When he first came, he was regarded as a top-notch young centre half who was going to turn into a world-class player when he joined. And then when he did join, I think his body, his strength hadn't caught up with his body almost. He was just a little bit too frail and he needed to go out on loan. The Premier League would have been too much for him physically. I thought he might have come back a year earlier, but what went on there, I don't know. But, to make your debut for France and to get into that side tells you everything. So we spoke a lot about the White-Gabriel partnership last year, didn't we? Is it going to be Gabriel Saliba? I'm interested and looking forward to seeing him in the Premier League to see how he copes, because you can look great in pre-season, but he actually doesn't know what it's going to be like yet. But I think he has grown. He's gained weight. He's strengthened up. He's a classy player as well. Very good on the ball. So it's going to be really interesting if he does see Gabriel and Saliba as these best two, how they form that partnership. But I'm really pleased, Jam.
He reminds me of Rio Ferdinand a little bit.
Yeah.
The elegance,
Yeah.
way he carries himself. Yeah, I'll take that all day.
You take that. Yeah. We'll see. But it's a cliche, but he's like a new signing, isn't he?
Yeah. Well, in this case, so. Just 3 years later, it really is like a new signing, and we didn't even have to plunk down the money on him. So, Alan, if I can really quick ask you for your predictions on top 4 and bottom 3 for this season, if you're able to.
Oh, dear. What are you doing to me, Mike? What are you doing to me? I think maybe Liverpool will nick it this time, just because, I don't know, they've probably perhaps got that extra bit of hunger. With Haaland, it's a bit of an unknown quantity with City and Haaland. You'd expect him to get a hatful of goals, but we'll see on that. What did you want, the top 4?
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be City second, and then it's going to be Arsenal and Spurs. I'll put Arsenal, then Spurs.
Everyone really is writing off Chelsea, aren't they?
But I'm writing in Arsenal.
I think a lot of people are writing off Chelsea and are big upping Tottenham more than they should. So and your bottom 3.
Nottingham Forest are spending a bit, but you always look at the teams promoted. Fulham have made a mess of it before. Maybe they'll be able to just escape.
Will your Leicester be in trouble? Will Leicester struggle this season?
I don't think they'll go down, but it's been a horrendous summer, hasn't it? things are happening there that would really worry Brendan Rodgers, and there must be a feeling in that dressing room. Some of the players must be thinking, "Oh, the party's over. I want to get out of here. I want to jump ship," kind of thing.
That's what it feels
like.
So,
I mean, they've always been a yo-yo club, but I don't know. I mean, I hope not. I hope not. But who knows? Who else we got down there? I've lost
Fulham, Bournemouth, Leeds, maybe.
I mean, Bournemouth. Yeah. I mean, I don't know too much. I don't know who they've signed, to be honest with you. But I think it will be difficult for them. I think it will be.
Alan, if you look at the bottom three right now, I'll take that as the relegation. In 18th, you've got Tottenham, and 19th,
Spurs, West Ham, and Wolves.
Well, we were bottom after 3 games, weren't we? Or after 4? After 3 games, Spurs were top. Yeah. It's not going to be like that this time.
No,
I don't
think so.
Not. Thankfully we're looking up, not down.
Well said. I'll let you off the. So Bournemouth is going down 3 times. That's what we'll let you off the hook there, because we have now. I think I said Forest. We have. Oh, okay, that's true. We have now entered hour 23 of 27. This is the end of your hour, Alan, and I truly appreciate you joining us. We're going to pick the winner of an Alan Smith signed shirt. If I believe I have your agreement again that we're okay doing that. If not, I've just put you on the spot in a really uncomfortable way. Okay. So we have, as we've done in the past, we have an Alan Smith signed shirt that will go to the following winner. Let's get this done here. Oh, I have to share it. This is a very technologically the production qualities.
We really need a drum roll, Mike. Really needed the drum roll soundbite.
I'm counting on you for that. Yeah, there you go. You have one of those spit guards on your microphone. The winner of the Alan Smith signed retro shirt is
Sophie Nicolau. Yay!
I don't know how to root for people, but I'm rooting for.
Here we go.
Seth Thomas has won. I believe Seth is eligible. He's already won a prize, but I believe it was a Ruth Beck art print. So let me just double check that. It was a Ruth Beck art print. So Seth Thomas has won a signed Alan Smith shirt. Thank you for your generosity, Seth.
Well done, Seth. Well done.
And like in 14 months when we fulfill these things, you'll be seeing his name on a list, Alan. But can't thank you enough again for everything that you do for Gooners versus Cancer. That we didn't even get to answer the various FIFA questions that were being asked. I thought I'd give you a break from that on this appearance. But
I don't do as much as you do for Gooners for Cancer. So well done, Mike and Sophie. It's an amazing effort. So well done. I just scribble my name on a shirt and that's all.
Well, it's all Mike. It's all the vision of this man right here.
Yeah.
We're happy to have it. And Alan, best of fortune and health and everything to you and your lovely family. And we'll look forward to hearing you on the television and hopefully talking to you and seeing you again soon.
Okie doke. Lovely to see you both.
Lovely to see you, Alan. Hopefully we'll see you on the Highbury squad soon with Super Kev. It's always a good time.
Okay, look forward to it.
Thank you, Alan.